Hey everybody, what's up? It's me, Dan Warren, here to play some Final Fantasy VI and talk to all you lovely people, as always, joined with my good friend,
David Rapoza. Hey everybody.
A little
Hope
late.
you're having a good night. Apparently, 4 viewers resubscribed while we were away. What the heck? It won't let me see who did it.
Oh my god, dude, that's like 4 times the cream.
What the heck is going on?
That's nuts.
How am I supposed to cream these fools?
Yeah, man, that's really great.
Thank you so much for everybody who subscribed, everybody who's donated, and the people who subscribed while we were away. Sorry we didn't get to make an official announcement on the stream, but we appreciate you. You're beautiful people. Thank you so much for making us alive.
Thank you. It really means a lot. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, really.
It's great. What? Ty Grenier subscribed for 2 months in a row.
What?
Jumpman565 subscribed for 3 months in a row.
You're beautiful.
Jeez.
What you trying to do?
I don't even know what to do with all that. What do you do with all that cream, man?
Well, you can make a nice coffee. You can put some cream in that coffee. You
Make
can
some chicken Alfredo. Lay down for the rest of the day, maybe.
creme brulee.
Creme brulee, it's a good one. Yeah, that's true.
You can make some biscuits.
If you're feeling a little hot from all that cream, you could freeze it, cool it off, make some ice cream.
No, thank you so much.
Man.
You guys, you supporting us. You making us, healthy boys.
Healthy boys.
How could we not be grateful when you're the ones keeping us alive?
Nothing but grateful.
So we got some cool news that we get to announce on the stream today. For all you who've been following the Amazon debacle, as it has been a long road for all of the screwed up orders, you may remember that we had a campaign on the internet.
A campaign.
Pray to Jeff.
You remember that we casually created a hashtag called Pray to Jeff.
It spread all over the internet. Somehow it went viral.
All over it. Yep. Huge. Tens of thousands.
And so Jeff Bezos responded to our plea for help.
Yeah, I got an email back from Jeff Bezos a couple days ago saying that he was very sorry for what had happened with Amazon and that he was going to put me in touch with someone who works directly under him and that the two of them were going to try and resolve the issue for us if possible. Somehow he got my email. Somehow he actually read it and responded to it, which is crazy. But yeah, as it is right now, there's an executive team at the top of Amazon reviewing all of the files on our case.
And the reason why that's so crazy is because Jeff Bezos is the CEO of Amazon.
Who's worth $66 billion.
So he read it, but his secretary responded.
Also crazy is that...
That's really weird.
It's one of those dictated but not read things where like they tell them what to say, but they don't type the email themselves because they're in the middle of flying around on a jet.
They're in the middle of being billionaires.
Yeah, billionaires, but
with a billion other things to do.
Fucking crazy that he responded. I had heard from a few places online where I had read that Jeff Bezos goes out of his way to ensure quality control in the sites that he runs, like Kickstarter, I believe he owns, and Amazon, obviously. And I had heard from certain websites that if you actually email him at his email, a lot of the time he just actually just responds and takes care of things for you. And I didn't really believe that. I thought it would at least take like a month for him to respond or something. I didn't think it would be quite so quick, but apparently he either reads that thing or he has a team of people go through and find the legitimate emails and has them forwarded to him or something. But less than a week, he got back to me.
Apparently he owns Twitch too.
Oh, shit.
So there you go. Jeff Bezos. Pray to Jeff campaign is working out. Just keep praying to him.
Just keep praying to Jeff.
Keep praying to Jeff. Hopefully he resolves the issue, gets our money back, and saves us a big headache.
It's true.
Or, at least softens the blow.
Oh, man. But yeah, so send out some Steve stuff today. Audiobook's coming out soon. Basically For anyone waiting on the audiobook, I keep thinking that I'm done with replacement copies of the book, and every time I put something up about, hey, I'm done, more people reach out and go, oh, yeah, I never got mine. And I go, and then I gotta send more replacement books. I did another 15 today. I hope, after the 30 I've got left, there's, I hope that's it. I hope everybody got their books and there's nothing still waiting, because I'd like everyone to get their copy. And so, we're launching book 2 in, God, what, 5 weeks?
Yep, October 1st, we're launching book 2's Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's crazy. So obviously I'd like all this to be taken care of before then, because you don't want to launch your second book if people haven't gotten their copy of the first book yet. It's not a good thing to do, and we know that. So if you don't have your book, the only way I can get it to you is for you to let me know. So please do that.
Yeah, and if you just messaged us or something, we've been checking messages like at night, and then Dan's been mailing stuff out like once a week because we have to do so much work on book 2. So we're juggling kind of everything, and the company is Dan and I. So it's pretty insane, but it's good. Mirrors 555 says, I shit you not, I saw Kiefer Sutherland on the subway an hour after finishing Steve Lichtman.
On the sub? Was he defusing a bomb in an episode of 24? Like, what was he doing on the subway? That's crazy. That's really cool, though.
Was he like a billion Chinese? Can't be wrong.
Michael. Try it, Michael. Let go, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But anyway, nice long day. Just got off the phone with some people about Steve, and so many things are happening. I just want to focus on the cream team. I just,
Without saying too many details.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I'll just say like a roundabout thing.
Let's just be honest.
Here's something. Okay, so we've been in talks, and we've mentioned it on here before.
Yeah.
We've been in talks with this agency that wants to represent Steve Lichtman, and they want to they're a really good agency. They only take like 10%.
Yeah, they're a 10% agency, but they manage huge talent in comedy and writing and stuff. They're a really big agency, so it's really cool that they want the IP so bad.
Yeah, we were real excited because when we first heard, they reached out to us a long time ago, during or right after the end of the last Kickstarter, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And we had these phone calls with them, and we were like, oh, what's this agency? And then we looked into it, and they were like, oh, they represent Bill Burr, Louis C.K., everybody.
Now everyone knows who the agency is.
Oh, who cares? I mean, it's like the only major comedy agency.
Without getting too specific. No, but everyone knows.
I mean, they don't technically represent us, though.
Yeah, I know.
We don't have any deal with them in place, but they've been asking forever, and we're just like, no, we just want to do the book.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure that, because what could happen is if you put out something like a book and then you put out, let's say you do a movie or something like that, TV show. If that TV show or movie comes out before your book is finished, then that thing defines what your property is.
Yeah.
Because it will always be more popular than your book.
Even sometimes after the fact, with the Axe Cop thing, that show came out and it kind of overshadowed the books, and the whole thing kind of went away afterwards.
Yeah, and Axe Cop is one of my favorite things.
I did
a cover for Bad Guy Earth, that Dark Horse release, and I love Axe Cop. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, we didn't want that to happen to us, so we've been holding off for a really long time. But because Sausage Party came out, they're kind of all about us doing something with it.
Yeah, I won't get into too much more, but yeah.
So we're trying to figure stuff like that.
Talking to people, trying to figure out what to do, learn how to be beautiful humans.
But that's been part of the day so far.
But yeah,
something happened to me today.
Go ahead.
We went for the wedding that's coming up. We went to the florist and we talked about different display stuff and all of the options for bouquets and whatever else and all this kind of thing, because this place in Aspen was going to charge $4,000 for the whole thing. It was insane. So much money. So we went to this local place that does, I don't know, I've ordered flowers from them before, but we got that settled, and they're gonna send over a thing, and we were just like, okay, now we got to go back because Elu is at the groomers, and we hit traffic, and we're on this road, and we're trying to get back, and she's been waiting at the groomers for like an hour or something, and we're going like 10 miles an hour down this road, and it's like backed up, tons of traffic, and there's like a dead animal in the middle of the road, and you know we're going really slow, so Kim just kind of like goes around it a little bit because you don't want to just park on a dead animal.
Right.
So she goes around it like a foot or something. And to the right of us is a bike lane. And the bike lane, like we don't really go into the bike lane, you know, like a foot into it. And apparently like we didn't see it because this person's like gunning it down that. But some girl and a dude on the back of a scooter, like, you know, those like Vespas.
Yes.
They were like trying to cut through all the traffic.
Wow, that's so real dumb.
We didn't know they were coming, you know, because we're just sitting in a line of traffic.
Of course.
And they're flying, and then we just hear, like we're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And they just went off into like some yard behind us, like back and to the right, and then I turned around because I was like, what was that? And they were like behind us, and I just see like the slow fall over into the grass.
Oh boy.
Like they didn't get hurt or anything.
Yeah.
But it was just really stupid.
The lazy bike toppling over.
Yeah, the lazy, I'm going too slow. This bike's too heavy topple.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that happens. And we actually didn't know that we were the reason for it. We were like sitting in the car like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Because like we didn't do anything.
Please tell me he came up to your window.
No, we were just sitting there like I was trying to figure out like what was going on. And I was looking back there and I was watching them like get up, and then the girl in the front just gets up and she looks at the car, and I was just looking at her like, oh man, do they need help? And then she just goes, fuck you! Fuck you! And I was like, what?
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare we?
How dare
go
you
around traffic illegally like that? Flying.
Wow, that's great.
It was really stupid.
Gotta love people.
Yeah, that happened on the way home, and yeah, that's been my day so far. Now I got some coffee. Dan and I were going over some grammar stuff for the comic.
Yeah, trying to reduce those typos. Shout out to anybody who bought book 1. Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, so that's basically been our day so far. Sitting here now, playing some FF6. For anyone tuning in wanting to catch up on the story, when we last left our group, the Returners, after their fateful battle with Kefka atop the ice caves of Narsh, the group suddenly learned that Terra was indeed descended from the lost race of Espers. Gaining passage across the ocean on the airship the Blackjack with its captain Setzer, our group now breaks into the Empire's Magitech facility to find out what secrets lie behind Terra's... I couldn't get through that one. Tried really hard to get through that one.
I don't have anything to say. You want to keep going?
Sure, yeah. Terra's with Ramu. She's feeling sick because she espered out and she broke a ton of stuff. We went to the opera. That was really great. Fought Ultros the Squid. That was pretty good. Now we're here fighting Pipsqueaks. And yeah.
Jack Trader wants to know if we have any definitive Sandwich Night stories. And would it be possible if you two could share one, please? Specifically, Sandwich Night stories. I don't know if we have anything that's so specific.
I mean, I can say that we specifically got the wrong copy of the Ewok Adventure, and it ruined our night one time.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know there were 2 copies of that movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, not copies, I'm saying it wrong.
There's 2 different Ewok Adventure movies. Maybe there's more. I don't know.
No, there's 2. There's 2. When you think of the good Ewok Adventure movie from when you were a kid, there's another one that's filmed like a documentary, and doesn't it even have like voiceover?
Yeah, it does.
Where the guy's like, and Wicket, blah, 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 blah. It's da 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 da. And it's just like the most boring, like you don't want to watch it.
the National Geographic Ewok movie. That one's the worst.
Yeah, pretty horrible.
The other one, I'm actually like, I kind of doubt myself when I think about it. Like, I'm sure this movie's not good either.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one is the one where the kid's under the water and he's like banging on it, trying
Banging
to
on
escape
the
it.
yeah.
And then Wicket uses his magic stick to break the water spell.
Well, the other one's more like Star Wars because there's like trooper dudes and there's like a witch, I think, who turns into like a raven or something who can do magic, and there's, you know, the girl and her dad on the spaceship show
There's
up.
the giant.
Yeah, the giant. There's all kinds of stuff.
YOLO Swagwalker wants to know if we have a favorite D&D campaign setting or module.
I don't, but I always go back to when my cousin got Ravenloft. Like, when I was a kid, he got Ravenloft, and I remember looking at the cover of it and being like, that's pretty spooky.
Yeah, I actually buy the old, like the really early campaigns. Like all the little books. I mean, I buy them mostly for the art, and just because there was this really awesome time period where people didn't have defined fantasy lore.
Yeah.
And they were just making whatever. And if you have stuff like the first release of the Monster Manual,
The best.
and what's the other one? The
Fiend Folio.
The Fiend Folio.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Like the Fiend Folio is really great. Down in the Dungeon is
Down in
another
the
book I
Dungeon's
really
great.
like.
Yeah.
But back then, it's like they were just kind of winging it. Like they were trying to figure out ideas for monsters and stuff. So that's where we pull a lot of like inspiration for Steve from.
Yeah.
It's like our favorite thing. Like reading through those, the descriptions for those are some of my favorites.
They're the
hilarious.
greatest. Gary Gygax and the other guys that worked on those wrote some of the greatest things ever committed to paper. Ever.
The most handsome of devils.
Yeah. Yeah. If you read I think it's Asmodeus, his description is something like, truly he is the handsomest of all devils, or whatever is like thrown in with his description. And it's like, I love that you think that's cool. I love that you had to include that. Like, thank you. The amount of fluff they write just to like fill a page and sound cool is my favorite part of those early books.
The description of orcs is probably one of my favorite things. Remember when I was reading that to you on the phone?
Oh, it was great. Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, I'll open up to it. That's one of my favorite things, is how they talk about like the little things.
I love
Let me
it.
get to it. Yeah, the old Monster Manual is probably my favorite thing to look through for inspiration.
The greatest.
But Ravenloft is really cool.
I remember when my cousin got Ravenloft and they were all playing it in the basement, and it was that weird feeling of like you're 7 years old, and it was back when, I mean, when I was 7, it was like really early 90s, and D&D still had that stigma where a lot of people thought it was evil, and like it was kind of like buying D&D at the store still had the same vibe that like buying an Ouija board had at the store, where a lot of parents were not okay with kids playing D&D, and there were rumors that like kids got possessed and committed suicide. One kid jumped off a building. Don't play D&D. There's danger. And like it had this really cool vibe back then because there was all this weird don't go near that game associated with it. And like I kind of miss that. Like I think D&D was its coolest when it had all the stigma around it. When it didn't have tons of cool artwork and it was just kind of this put together kind of, I don't know, like grungy in the sense that like it felt like someone designed everything in like a shed or like a garage or something, and like it was just this weird little game. I don't know, but that was my favorite era of D&D.
Me too.
When the drawings weren't fantastic.
The Judas Priest era.
Exactly, yeah. When everything actually felt kind of weird about it. That was my favorite.
So let's now, just real quick, do a reading from the Monster Manual.
Go ahead. The floor is
This
yours.
is just a little bit about orcs. Orc tribes are fiercely competitive, and when they meet, It is 75% likely that they will fight each other unless a strong leader, such as a wizard, evil priest, evil lord, with sufficient force behind him, is on hand to control the orcs. Being bullies, the stronger will always intimidate and dominate the weaker. For instance, if goblins are near and the orcs are strong enough, they will happily bully them. I just like
Happily.
Happily. The extra descriptors that don't need to be there are my
So
favorite
specific.
things in this whole book. So here's more. Orcs are cruel and hate living things in general, but they particularly hate elves and will always attack them in preference to other creatures.
In preference?
They take slaves for work, food, and entertainment, torture, etc.
Torture, etc.
But not elves, whom they kill immediately.
Torture, etc.
This one is probably one of my tops. The majority of orcs speak goblin, hobgoblin, and ogre, in addition to the languages of orcs and lawful evil.
Oh, boy.
Do you speak hobgoblin?
I love that they write stuff in those books like they're writing a job application that the monster's filling out. Like torture, blah, 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 etc. Like under skills. Love it.
Yeah.
Could Steve control orcs? Yeah, I mean, he's a lich. He's of a sufficient level to control orcs.
I mean, he doesn't really like controlling people.
No,
That's
he
not
doesn't.
his thing.
He doesn't like controlling anybody. If orcs wanted to be his friend and also live in his dungeon, I'm sure he'd be open to it.
Doesn't discriminate.
No.
All right, so this is something that people have just abandoned completely as far as the description of orcs. So let's go through and talk about what orcs are actually supposed to look like.
Yes.
Orcs appear particularly disgusting because their coloration, brown or brownish green with a bluish sheen,
Very specific.
highlights their pinkish snouts and ears. Their bristly hair is dark brown or black, sometimes with tan patches. Even their armor tends to be unattractive, dirty, and often a bit rusty. Yeah.
Brown,
Orcs-
blue sheen.
Pink noses, pink ears. Orcs favor unpleasant colors in general. Their garments are in tribal colors, as our shield devices are trimmed. Typical colors are blood red, rust red, mustard yellow.
Mustard yellow.
Mustard yellow, yellow green, moss green, greenish purple, and blackish brown. They live for 40 years.
After mustard yellow, you follow it up with a life expectancy.
But what's so good about that is that that's not in all of the descriptions.
I love
Their
that.
lifespans are rarely in the description.
Yeah, they throw it in here and there when they remember to.
Yeah, they live for like 40 years. Who cares?
40 years, whatever.
Who cares? This
Boy.
This one's about half orcs. As orcs will breed with anything, there are any number of unsavory mongrels with orcish blood.
Oh, he'll breed with anything.
Particularly orc goblins, orc hobgoblins, and orc humans, which is weird.
Whoa, Zach Beef just donated.
Zach Beef.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. God.
You son of a bitch.
God, all that cream.
You
Hey, by the
donate,
way.
you beautiful human, you made us happy, you're making us live, you cream me good.
Can we, make Twitch tell me in the chat when someone donates? Because right now it does not tell me. I have to, look at the OBS thing to see that.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get a notification in the chat when people... I only get notifications when people subscribe.
Yeah,
So if anyone's ever donated and we missed it, I'm really sorry. That just means I didn't see it in the OBS window. But thank you, Zach Beef.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm looking at this D&D book if I missed it. So, back to the description. So because orcs will breed with anything, there are any number of unsavory mongrels with orcish blood, particularly orc goblins, orc hobgoblins, and orc humans, which is weird because they don't speak human.
That's an
But
important detail.
They speak goblin. So, orcs cannot crossbreed with elves.
Very important.
So, there you go. Half orcs tend to favor the orcish strain heavily. So such sorts are basically orcs, although they can sometimes 10% pass themselves off as true creatures of their own stock, goblins, hobgoblins, humans, etc. Like when does that come into play?
I don't know. At like a Thanksgiving dinner with their family or something.
Yeah, so what did you say you were?
When they meet their girlfriend's parents.
Where's your family from?
Oh no, I'm a full goblin. No, my dad's not an orc. You think I'd be dating your daughter if my dad was an orc? No way.
But yeah, this I mean, I don't know if you guys know about owl bears, but
Great sentence.
if you know Ollie from Steve Lichman, he's an owl bear. But if not, just Google owl bears.
There you go.
So, here you go. The horrible owl bear is probably the result of genetic experimentation by some insane wizard. Fuck this description.
Insane.
I hate it so
Dude, is
much.
that an owl bear? Dude, you're fucking nuts. You put an owl and a bear together? Man, you really are crazy.
Fuck you, man. That's crazy.
You really are insane.
Yeah, I mean, I would just suggest that if you're interested in like laughing a lot, to just get this book and read it because it's really good.
I always wonder when I read the monster manuals, the old ones, like you start to see the strings after you read them a few times. Like I'm pretty much convinced at this point that they had a team of maybe 4 people because I think the same guy that came up with Owl Bear came up with Duck Bunny.
Yeah.
And came up with, like, you know, Frog Rabbit or, like, whatever other fucking... They just put 2 animals together and call it crazy. Like, that had to be the same guy, right? There's no way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I love looking for that stuff. Then there's the flavor guy who just writes down every fucking detail about, you know, everything.
Yeah, and some of them have, like, super long details. Some of them, nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just depends.
Someone came up with all of the Dungeons and Dragons versions of the demons that rule hell and, like, their hierarchy and who's in control of who, and, like, there's, like, 8 pages of that shit in there. Like, that was all one. That wasn't the guy who came up with Duck Bunny. You know it wasn't.
No. Like, it's specifically great because they're not written well.
No.
Like, that's
Not at
my
all.
favorite part, is that it's like, you know, they were just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're like super professional writers or anything. It makes it way better.
Yeah. it's
Like,
the
listen to
greatest.
this sentence about night hags.
Mm.
I don't know if you know D&D night hags. This is the 3rd paragraph. Night hags hate goodness. Like, fuck off,
I
dude.
hate goodness.
They hate goodness.
Oh, man.
Like, it's my favorite thing ever.
Whew.
Like, I love reading these
They
so much.
hate goodness.
I sit on the toilet and I just read through these.
Oh, yeah. The bathroom is what those monster manuals are for. 90% of the time, that's what I grab when I hit in there.
Yeah, it's super good. Like, I don't know if you want inspiration.
Hate goodness. They just hate it. Oh, man. But anyways,
Yeah.
sorry if we missed any questions, but as always, feel free to post stuff in the chat. Today's stream is going to be a little shorter than normal, mostly because Dave's getting married in like 10 days?
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, so he's real busy, and yeah, we're just, you know, hanging out, Team Cream, and then let Dave get back to doing married stuff. What did you do today? You went to the florist?
Florist, and then we got to do some more stuff. I mean, it's mostly small things, tying up loose ends and whatever. Like, there's a couple questions we still have to ask the venue and all that, but
Right.
for the most part, all the big stuff is done. There was a couple questions. Mohawk24 asks, what kind of paper should I use for making comics with traditional media? It depends on what kind of, traditional media you're going to use. If you're going to use like watercolors, or if you're going to use, washes, or if it's just going to be inks. I don't really have any major recommendation.
I mean,
but I
unless
would
it's
use.
yeah, like unless
uh,
it's watercolor. Watercolor
yeah,
is the only one that gets specific.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Some paper I like, some paper I don't really care for. Like sometimes there's some kind of Bristol that I hate. Um, I like what is it? Cold press.
The smooth or the bumpy?
Or, I like the slightly bumpy one.
I believe that's cold press. Hot
Yeah.
press, I believe, is the smooth.
Okay, that would make sense. But I like the one that gives a little bit of texture to like your pencils. I don't like when it's super glossy smooth,
Hmm.
but that's just me. And I also don't like how, I don't know, there's just the way that paper takes on the ink or whatever else that differs from paper to paper. But I would just try, I mean, I would look it up. I mean, if you just want to go by what everybody uses, just
Hmm.
look up what people who do stuff for Marvel use. But
Yeah.
I don't do that. I just use Bristol cold press and lay it out like that if I ever plan on doing anything kind of traditional that's just ink.
If you're
Otherwise, I
using
use like some kind of watercolor.
if you're using, acrylics or markers or anything like that, Bristol boards or illustration board is usually pretty good. Usually go for vellum finish if it's Bristol board. Illustration board's, pretty solid, pretty standard. If you're using oil, you can go the canvas route, or you can gesso some masonite if you want like a really smooth surface. Masonite's good for oil. Yeah.
N. Waldinger, I think I'm saying that right. You guys plan on going to any conventions to promote Steve this year? Well, next year, I'm
Next year,
guessing.
yeah, not this year.
Yeah, we have to.
We won't even be at we usually one of us usually goes to New York Comic Con, if not both of us. We won't even be at that this year.
Yeah, we won't be there this year because we're running the Kickstarter right in that time.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure. We don't know yet, but for next year's Kickstarter, we might have to put it off a little bit, depending on when we can release all the books and have them get to everybody's doorstep. Because
Right.
we don't want to start the next one unless everybody has the books.
Yeah, basically because this one's a much bigger book. After everything we learned from doing it the first time this year,
Yeah.
we're going to assume that the delivery is probably going to be July or August instead of May, which means that it might be September.
And it gives us a big buffer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if that's the case, we'll be able to do New York Comic Con
Right.
and all that kind of thing. But for this year, we're not doing anything. Next year, we're going to try and get out to cons because we're just going to do our best to spread the word on Steve. We don't have any kind of team,
No, it's
so
just the
we're
two
just
of us.
figuring it out.
Yeah, we appreciate any help people can possibly give us by sharing it around, and we're going to set up the
Sure.
Thunderclap for the next campaign, September 1st, and have it grow for 30 days. So, if anyone would like to sign up for that when it goes live, that's a huge help. So, yeah.
Okay, so Mark Bem says, for as far as orcs and their colors go in the new design docs, he says there's no more green.
It's a shame,
Damn.
you lose something.
Hey, orcs are green.
You lose
What are you
something.
gonna do? They're pinkish and bluish and sheen.
Honor your roots. Gygax wanted green ones.
Whatever the guy gags.
What
Sunny
right do they
Huh?
have? What right do they have to tell us that orcs can't be green anymore?
Oh, you can do whatever you want. Make them pigs, like in the monster manual. Sunnyboy123 asks, what kind of cream do you guys like? I like
mean,
heavy cream.
Yeah, I was gonna say standard heavy cream. Yeah, it's the best.
Heavy cream.
Yeah.
I mean, whipping cream, depending on what you're making.
Yeah, definitely.
YOLO Swagwalker asks, did you do any art for your wedding, like invitations and such? Yeah, I did. Kim and I designed the cards together, but yeah, I did all the designs, and I mean, nothing too crazy. It was just two foxes
Hmm.
and just this little, like, lightly sketched out scenery thing. A couple of colors, but it came out nice. I think they look cool. I always like doing things that are really personal for anything like, like a wedding.
Yeah.
I hate to do any kind of stock, like, oh, just use these things. Like, it feels gross to me to do that. I mean, just personally, like,
Yeah.
if I can touch it and make it more unique and just like us, then I'll do that.
I feel the same way about that stuff that I feel about when people go to like those wedding planners that give you like, oh, here's the 5 options you can pick from. And it's like,
Right.
don't you want your own wedding and not like one of 5 weddings that everyone else has with the same food, the same location, the same DJ? Like, I
Yeah.
don't, it's really weird to me when people do those like,
Well, some
like,
people don't care.
yeah, I guess that's true. I just don't understand it. Like, if you're gonna go to the trouble of having a ceremony at all, don't you want it to be like a unique thing to the two of you? But
Yeah, like when you're investing all that money.
right,
But yeah, our wedding actually doesn't cost a ton of money now. So I feel pretty good. I mean, we're able to do like everything we want without, spending like $30,000 on a wedding.
Mhm.
The average cost of a wedding is like 25 something thousand dollars
Yeah, it's absurd.
for this state.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Christian Benson asks, Dave, I want to invest in some Tombow markers. Should I get the set of 100 or start with the basic set? I would start with the basic set because you're limited. And if you have too much options for like colors and things, then you kind of don't do anything with them. I don't know what that is, but whenever you have like limitation, I think because your brain has to think through every step, that you make more creative decisions. And yeah, I mean, see what kind of mileage you can get from the markers that they supply in those smaller sets. And I think you'll surprise yourself by what you can do, because I did a ton of stuff with just the basic sets before I bought the 100. And then by the time I bought the 100, we were already doing book 2. So I was like, oh, whatever.
Right.
I only used them like a few times and then I just had to stop. But they're really great markers. They work a lot like watercolors. And I suggest them to anybody who's looking to make some kind of like finished sketchy concepts with, full color without having the streakiness of like regular markers. And they look pretty nice when they're done. They don't look like quick. They kind of look like watercolor. So it feels a lot better than regular markers, and they're not crazy expensive.
Right.
Yeah, they're really cool. Max Smith asks, how much do you guys charge for international shipping? It's expensive.
That depends on where it's going and what we're shipping. For our book, because it was pretty much a standard weight, all of them once they were packed. I mean, we actually, one thing that we learned, which is unfortunate because now we're going into book 2 and we're going to have to charge more. We way undercharged on international shipping on the first book, and the funny thing is that the most, like, we didn't get much hate mail at all the first Kickstarter we did, which was a nice, I thought we'd get a lot more than we did. We barely got any, but the hate mail that we did get was almost entirely people that live in other countries saying the book's $20 and you're trying to charge me $15 for the shipping. They were like, why should I pay 75% of the cost of the book in fucking shipping? Like, what a ripoff. And the thing is that once we started shipping the books internationally, like when I found out Amazon couldn't ship to Argentina and I had my oh no moment where I have to do all this myself, it costs like $30 or more to ship a book to Argentina with tracking. Like, if you're going to track that book, you have to send it, like, cheapest option is USPS if you're in the United States. Cheapest way to do it's $30, which is registered mail. And that's the only way to track it. So it's like $30. Like, the book was $20. But, like, yeah, I mean, I didn't reach out and ask anyone for more cash. When I learned that, I just dipped into my savings to cover it, because it would be, like, really unprofessional to be like, oh, we were wrong. Yeah. Please give me double what you gave me to send the book. But, like, now that we know that, we had to get creative with the numbers on the next Kickstarter, because if you live in Malaysia, I'm sorry, it costs $27 to send a book to Malaysia. Like, there's nothing we can do about that. That is the cheapest it costs.
Yeah, I mean, really, on paper, we did what we could, or what we thought we could, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and it's just going to cost way more. Otherwise, we would lose money on every single order.
I mean, it's just like, we're not making money off the shipping. No. The idea of shipping is to break even. It's not to make money. So you have to look at the packaging of the book to protect it, the cost of it getting from China to America, divided amongst the total number of books, which ends up being like 80 cents a book, and then the actual shipping rate. And the actual shipping rates, at minimum, the lowest I saw leaving the United States was about $20. The highest was 35. And like, if it costs $35 to send a book to your country, you're just gonna have to pay $35. Like, there's nothing we can do about that.
But you know, if you want to help out, we make
Yeah.
the most money on our audiobooks because we're able to
Yeah.
produce them ourselves. So
Yes.
if you want to purchase an audiobook
They'll be up soon.
on the next Kickstarter, really, I mean, it's so close.
Well, the next study, because the next book is 400 pages, and this one was 250. So, like, based on how long this audiobook is, for book one, which should be coming out this week, if I don't get any more orders out of nowhere from people going, I didn't get my book. The next audiobook, based on how long this one is probably going to be 10 hours long or longer. So very long, because it's not just us reading the books and going, and then Steve said, and then Flay said, and then Ben said. Like, it's not that. Like, there's at least 50% more content in the audiobook because the narrator is his own character and he interacts with the book. So there's way more stuff in the audiobook that is not in the book. But yeah, that makes it super long.
Ty Grenier says, I know a lot of larger companies that I'd love to work for one day, but I'm at a loss as to where I should look for work right now. Even on job websites where most art jobs are either graphic design or they're looking for people with experience. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. On most job sites, the art jobs are either graphic design or they're looking for people with experience in the industry already. So, I mean, there's no real way to... I mean, I guess if you know people and you know people in person who like work for those companies, there's a direct line to the art directors and things.
Sure.
But outside of that, I don't really know. I mean, the only way I ever get work is just through some kind of online reputation that I've had to build over time, like from making work and doing things that I can get from clients and constantly producing things to share. That was the only way I ever found that I got work working in games or working in film or any of the bigger companies that I, see out there and go, yeah, I'd love to work for them. The only way I ever got to work for them was by doing work that was kind of in line with that company, what they already produced, the artists that already worked for them, and saying I was looking for work and talking to other artists who are already in the industry and kind of just developing a network over time that turned into being able to work for companies like that. But yeah, without that, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there is a way to do it. I'm sure there's like a way where you can actually submit to an AD at some of those places that you're looking at. But in terms of just getting it from like skill or, organically online or from a website, I would say that you just have to constantly be out there promoting yourself, talking to people, making people aware that you are looking for work, making your art reflect the kind of work you want to get, and pray for the best and just constantly work hard. I mean, there's no luck in it. You just have to be consistent.
Well, just kind of like use the common sense approach of, if you pretend you already have the jobs you want and you create work that's similar to those jobs, the people working those jobs or at those companies will eventually see it because of the nature of the internet. If you want to do RPG stuff, do really cool original RPG stuff that you design for yourself, and chances are it's going to get shared around in those communities the more people you talk to and the more you promote yourself online. And, eventually the work you want will start to find you if you just keep doing that. But yeah, I mean, there's other things you can do too where, you don't need to get hired to make money off your art. You can make money off your art on your own. You can brand things, you can sell t-shirts, you can open up you can go to cons and sell prints. Like, there's so many ways to start making money and to start, having an income off your art aside from just looking for a company to fund you. Like, there's a million ways to do it now.
Sunnyboy123 asks, how do I go about this? If a person feels comfortable in painting faces but still sees that they're not that good, is it okay to move on something that is not comfortable? Let me see. Read that again. If you're comfortable painting faces, but they're not that good otherwise. Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, it's nice to stick to what you're comfortable with, but that's not going to give you growth. It's not going to give you fast growth anyway. You want to put yourself in situations where you're a little uncomfortable because it challenges you and it makes you kind of snap into place. Like the thing with, I don't know, like lazy ways of thinking is that you're doing things that, you're doing things that you're basically used to doing, so you're not really thinking about it while you're working. When I started doing Steve, I didn't really know how to draw very well. Like I drew and I did like under drawing things for my paintings. And I kind of didn't even realize how bad. I knew I was bad. I was like, I know that I suck at drawing. Like I always knew that. I was like, yeah, I suck. There's a lot of things I'm scared of drawing. There's a lot of things I don't know how to do. But I didn't really grasp it until, we had to make this 250-page comic. And then by the end of it, I was like, oh my God, like, look at how much better these drawings get. Like, not that I was trying super hard in the beginning. It was supposed to be funny in the beginning because how shitty it was. But then I was like, I'm going to get bored doing this comic unless the drawings start to get better and I'm like learning something. So I was trying to get better as it went gradually. And when I look back at comics where I know, like I remember thinking I should try and draw a little bit better and ink a little bit better. When I look back at those, I'm like, oh my God, those are bad. Like really bad. And now when we're working on book 2, like we finished book 1 and then coming over to book 2, there was like a hiatus. And in between there, I did, ink drawings. I did all kinds of stuff between working on the 2, just whenever I had a chance. And now coming back to the comic again, I'm like, holy shit, like when that started to happen, it was like, oh my God, I'm so much better than I was. And I don't know, like you just have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Give yourself like a reason to do something that you otherwise wouldn't do. Like there's why, unless you have a story or something, you wouldn't make a comic. Unless you have some kind of trailer in mind, you wouldn't make an animation or you wouldn't make a little short film or something. Like you need the spark to get you going down that road. But if you just sit in your comfortable space, you might get good at that one thing. You might progress pretty far in your lighting and, maybe you start to get across characters' expressions in your portraits you're painting. Maybe you're like becoming efficient at rendering skin up close and drawing hair follicles and things like that and creating these like crisp highlights and nice color balance and all this. But there are a lot of things you're ignoring when you just focus on that one thing, just because that's everything. That's how life works. You focus on one thing and then there's a million other things going on around you that you're not addressing.
Yeah, it's missing the forest for the trees.
Yeah, like it's one tiny facet of art. And if your goal is to improve at a fundamental level, then I would say you want to get away from being comfortable and challenge yourself all the time, because not like challenge yourself like I'm a Marine and we're tough and we're going to be the best of the best and you work hard or you die. It's like not like, that kind of art militia mentality. Like I don't mean that. I just mean that, you want to do something that's going to engage you and keep you thinking. Keep you fresh, like you want to keep learning things in life that keeps you on your toes, keeps you learning, keeps you having something to talk about, to think about, to progress on. If you're not doing that, then I don't know. I feel like for me personally, I get super lazy. I take things for granted. I eat shitty food. I do nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can so easily just coast forever. And when we just decide that we're going to make a book, all of a sudden it's like I have a reason to challenge myself.
Yeah, suddenly you're like, oh, okay.
You're like, oh, I'm just going to do this now.
All these things I don't know how to do have to happen by this date. And then you stretch to fill the space. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy thing to do.
Yeah, I think it definitely gives you a purpose, which suddenly you're excited to get out of bed and work on this interesting thing because it's it's not familiar. It's part of the whole spark of being creative is figuring stuff out. It's not just executing, it's problem solving and discovering things. And if you lose those steps and you just keep doing the same thing, it can get really boring really quick. I think that's why a lot of people, I can't speak for everyone, but I think it's why a lot of people who end up taking studio gigs end up really just kind of not caring about art anymore. They just kind of do the job, and then like 10 years go by and they're like, oh, well, I'm so used to doing this. And it's like they kind of just, lose that spark.
Well, when you're living in your finish line,
yeah,
then like, what are you doing?
Right.
Because you were working so hard to get there. You stop working. I mean, it's all about working hard to get somewhere. That's where the energy, the vitality comes from. That's where like the excitement for doing it comes from, is like you're trying to achieve something that you didn't have, something that you aspired to be, and when you finally get that, that's when you feel good, but that's just a step.
Like, I haven't even been doing, the past, I don't know, probably 3 months, I've barely done any artwork because I've been shipping books, packing books, solving Amazon problems, doing customer service, building the next Kickstarter, just doing all these things that have to get done for the next book to happen and to wrap up the first one. And almost none of them are art related. And I've still been having a really good time doing it because it was all stuff I did not know how to do, and now I know how to do all of it. And like figuring it all out, even though it was stressful, was like, I'm really glad it happened and I'm really glad I did it, because now I can, I know how to do that now. Next time that happens, I can just go, oh yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of new things happen where you have to learn new systems, and you got to go like, oh, this is a gap in my knowledge. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, whether or not it's related to art, it's still engaging.
Mm-hmm.
So Ricky Martinez, hey man.
Oh yeah, by the way.
Shout out to everybody. What were you gonna say?
We gotta judge the Steve stuff on our stream soon.
Yeah, we've been working on the book 2 stuff so much that our time has been sparse, but we will definitely do that.
Yeah.
We will do that on the next one that we're live on. We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll have it done, I don't know, sometime by the end of this weekend. We're going to go through everybody's. We're not just going to do the top 3. We're going to go through all the entries and talk about, strengths, weaknesses, stuff that was great, stuff that could be worked on, things that, met the challenge. Like, we're going to try and give as in-depth a thing as possible, because y'all deserve it, who did the contest, and thank you.
I was going to say, shout out to the Draw or Die group. If you want to be a part of it, look them up on Facebook. Team Cream. You got to go out there, get yourself better at art if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, Captain Albatross, I don't think there's anything wrong with studio gigs, but I do think that across the board, everyone I know who gets a studio gig kind of stops getting better. Like, maybe a little bit in the beginning, but like, they just like, I did studio for 8 months, and even in that 8 months I was like, oh, this is a comfy bed that I could easily see myself never wanting to get out of. Like, that's a really great scenario. And again, this is the thing where we just got to clarify, it's totally fine to just want to have a steady job where you do art that you enjoy. Like, we're not shitting on that at all. We're just saying that if you want to constantly challenge yourself, and, creative energy comes from different places for different people. If your creative energy comes from challenging yourself and figuring out new things, studio job probably isn't the best solution for you, because you're going to be doing the same thing for a very long period of time with almost no change. But if you get if you get the juice you need from something else, then that can be a very good way to, have a stable life.
A ship is safer in the cove, but that's not what ships were made for.
There you go. I will say that all the artists I know who work in studio that are happiest are artists that also do freelance or have a personal thing they do on the side, almost across the board.
Yeah. So Ricky was asking, what do you guys think of Mr. Concept Art going to Trojan Horse as a unicorn?
Oh, I think it's the greatest thing in the world. He should have his own thing. He should have the Mr. Concept Art workshop. Yeah.
I think that everybody I mean, like, I know that it's just joke stuff, but I love that kind of thing because it just represents what I hate so much. Not like the art in and of itself, not the people, not like any one thing, but just the idea that we can't laugh at ourselves. Like, I
Yeah,
love that. I
I
love making fun of a group like that. It's like, yeah, don't take yourself so seriously.
the
It's not even
easiest
real.
the easiest target in the world is someone who thinks they matter,
Exactly.
and they're the most fun to tear down because
Yeah.
they like you're an art. You like what we used to talk about on Crimson Daggers all the time when we were doing the daily streams is like you get paid to draw goblins for a living. That's basically what most of the people doing this job is. If you're walking around thinking you're so serious and that the stuff you do matters so much that you can't stand someone making a funny image that, you know, reduces the job to its barest form, then like fuck off. Like it just becomes like an ego thing at that point. Like what is wrong with you that you have to take your life so seriously? Like but yeah, I mean, you know,
I mean, it's just that none of it's real. Like, you paint Thor, someone gives you paper. Like, who gives a shit?
mhm.
Like, I don't get it. Like, it's just if you're not doing something, I mean, if you love to do it, then that's great. But yeah, taking yourself so seriously, acting like not everybody, but definitely some people think they're God's gift. And it's just we're all artists, whatever. It's funny to laugh about this stuff, like when everybody starts to do the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You make fun of it. It's like when everybody was wearing Jinko jeans. I was making fun of it.
That's the thing. People
When
wouldn't
every kids had bowl cuts and those like top knots because they like System of a Down, like make fun of them.
people wouldn't get mad if it wasn't true. That's the thing. People get maddest at the stuff they see. That's the, you know, it wouldn't be. That's the other thing. It wouldn't be funny if it wasn't true. You need to be in on the joke for the joke to work.
Mm,
We talk about how fucking cool this part of the game is for a second.
sure, go ahead.
When I was a kid, and still today, I fucking love this part of the game. Like, this was the coolest thing to me, is like coming into this lab, there's all these things in these tubes, like kind of Akira vibe going on, sorta. And then the music and the way everything looks, like, I had never seen, like, this screen right here, the character designs of the espers and the tubes, and the way the way the tanks look, and the way they're drawn and rendered. I had never seen a video game look this directed before.
Yeah, great art direction.
Like, this doesn't even really look like... This is where games stopped looking like pixels on, like, a square map of tiles and started looking like, oh, this is, like, art. I'm seeing art in a video game. Like, this was one of the first times ever where I had to stop and be like, look how cool that is.
Mm.
But, yeah.
Same thing with like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. Love this game.
How's the baby squirrel ass drive-by uppercut?
Doing great. His eyes still aren't open. Once his eyes open up, probably sometime next week, he's going to be a lot more affectionate. Right now, he's just kind of like, you know, he has a lot of energy but doesn't know what to do with it because he can't see anything. So he just kind of rustles around inside a shoebox and, you know, got to feed him every 2 hours. It's a lot of maintenance. But, yeah, once his eyes open up, he'll be a lot more, like, energetic and fun.
Captain Albatross asks regarding the last part about constantly challenging yourself when you're an artist to grow by not taking a studio gig. He was saying, do you think that's why a lot of higher tiered artists stay freelance?
Well, they
not exactly. It's because they can make a lot more money being freelance.
Yeah, if you're really good and you're in demand, you can make way more money than you can at a studio job, and you can manage your time better. You can get a lot more done. If you're at a studio, they tell you what to do. If you're freelance, you can choose what to do. So you have a lot more fun if you're freelance. And if you're really good, then obviously you're going to choose the one with more creative control because it's more stimulating, more fun to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a freelancer, like for me, I could close down shop for like 2 weeks and go on vacation. I mean, if I had the time and the money.
Sure.
It's like I could just do that. And that freedom is worth more than any salary to me. Like the fact that something could happen and I could work around it without having to like ask permission is hugely important to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the shitty side of that is taxes and everything else, but running your own business and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that being able to do your own thing is, for me, super important outside of the money. I mean, money is like the big part of it. I mean, it's the same reason that we self-publish the book we do. You know, it's we're able to control it. And I don't know if it's like a problem,
Mm-hmm.
like a problem that I have and maybe Dan has too, where we want to control everything.
Yeah,
And it's like
nothing.
you can't trust anybody.
It's a weird neurotic thing. I don't know where it comes from, but we both have it where it's like if there's a job to do, 90% of the time, even if I don't know how to do it, I'd rather learn how to do it and just do it than have anyone else step in.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's not healthy.
No.
It's just a fact.
Yeah, it's the reason we like want to do like everything. We're like nobody's going to make the things we want to make the way we want to make them
Yeah,
without wanting to change something because of some arbitrary numbers or whatever.
it's the same thing we talked about on a previous stream where we had a bunch of publishers that wanted to take Steve off our hands and do it, publish it. And we said to all of them, yeah, can we still do the gold foil stamped hardcover? And they said, no, it's going to be a soft cover, of course. And we were like, well, then we're not going to do it.
Hmm.
Like, we don't want to make a shitty softcover book that looks like every other book on the shelf. Like that's, want some pride in the product. But that's the thing is, not everybody, everybody wants to do their own thing, and it's the same thing with. I mean, this ties into the studio thing too. It's just, if you want creative control, if that matters to you, then you usually have to end up kind of going your own way. And in art, that means more freelance versus studio. And, if you're doing a book, that means indie publishing as opposed to signing on to a bigger company.
I was listening to this podcast where Charlie Day and what's his face, the other guy from Always Sunny that isn't Mac.
Oh, I never remember his name.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
They were talking about Always
Dennis.
Sunny. Yeah, Dennis Reynolds.
Yeah.
But they were talking about Always Sunny when they were pitching it. I'm pretty sure this was them. I can't remember exactly. But they pitched the shows and they were like saying, oh, yeah, and then we're going to hire these other, like we're going to bring on all these writers and stuff. Yeah, Glenn Howerton.
There you go.
So they were going to bring on all these writers and they were like, well, we just made this thing. Don't you think we can make more of these? Like, we did this. Like, this is us doing it. Like, we proved that we could do it with these two things, like these two episodes. Like, it's so weird, like, giving up that kind of control or the way people, like, outside parties think about your thing. Like, for Steve Lichman, like, if Steve becomes a TV show or something in the future, the idea that somebody else could come in and just say like, oh yeah, and these people will handle all the writing for it. And it's like, well, no, because the only thing that makes this unique at all is that Dan and I are writing it and we've been friends since we were like 12.
Right.
It's like, so nobody's going to hit that perfectly. Like, I'm sure people can help, but like the idea that that's how things are handled when you're part of like a big studio thing, like that you're like, not that you can't work with other people, but when something's so personal, like a book that you write and create or art that you want to make feel like you, a very personal stuff, ideas, whatever, designs, and then it's going to be art by committee. Like, it never works like that. Like, it will never be as good as it was when it was just that pure thing, at least until you have a system that can facilitate that kind of mentality of you're going to be running it as like a showrunner or something like South Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they have like a writer's room, but obviously Matt and Trey are the people controlling it.
Yeah, they're the filter that everything has to go through.
Yeah, like they have power in that scenario. So it's like in that situation, they're able to do whatever they want to do. But I don't know, like coming into any kind of situation where you're just another worker, you're just like another person doing something, or you're just a small, like me and Dan would be a small published book.
Mm-hmm.
Other people want to like, put their hands in it, and when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, it just doesn't work.
Right.
And it just has to be simple. So yeah. It's really like, that's a huge part of staying independent.
Well, plus, like, when I mean, I hate to say this because it sounds really egotistical, but, like, when you know you're right, you can't listen to people that are wrong. Because, like, we got 2 major pieces of feedback from the Steve book. One was that people thought it was funny, and 2 was that, wow, this is a really beautiful product. That's 99% of the feedback we get is one of those 2 things. Hey, the book was really funny. I enjoyed reading it. Or, this is a beautiful book. I can't wait to get the next one because it looks really nice on my shelf. And like 50% of what people like about it's gone the second that we do some dumb softcover book because a publisher wants to save money. And it's like, I know from the feedback we got from people that supported the book that we're doing the right thing by making a silly hardcover book with gold stamping and numbered stickers and this like fine art approach to a skeleton story. It's like, I know that's the right way to do it. It's part of the joke is that inside it's this dumb whatever, and on the outside it's this beautiful cloth bound thing. But they don't get that, and like, when someone doesn't get it, they just don't get it. And like, you can't explain things to people that just fundamentally don't get it. You just can't. They just don't understand. And like, that's part of the reason I don't want to give it away to one of those companies, is because if they don't get that, and that's so fundamental to just what the Kickstarter was and the brand of it, like if they can't even grasp that, then God only knows how many other things down the line they're not going to understand.
Mm-hmm. So one last question, and then we're going to jump off of here.
I want to talk to Pin Shivik. Is that the one? Okay.
That was the one I was going to say. It says, Pin Shivik asks, Dave and Dan, my mom thinks that if I don't go to college, I won't be able to make money. Can you say something so that I can record it and show it to her?
I'll tell you what, Pin Shivik. Rather than us say, okay, record now and do a thing, reach out to me on Facebook, and I'll just talk to your mom. If she's willing to talk to someone who does this professionally, who's gone to art school and works with a person who never went to art school, like, I'll just talk to her honestly. And if that doesn't change your mind, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but as a person who's been in the scenario you're in exactly, where my parents wanted me to go to art school and I didn't really want to, I caved and went. I bargained with myself and said, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to do this in the meantime and whatever. And then, 2 years into it, I realized how huge of a mistake that was, and it was too late to bail. That really sucked, and I don't want anyone else to get in that scenario. And, because I'm assuming you're not going to go to one of the maybe 2 solid art schools in the United States.
Cal Arts. And...
yeah, SVA is okay, and like, there's a couple of good schools, but even if you go to those good schools, you're putting yourself $100,000 in debt for something that you can learn on your own. And one thing I want to make really clear, not to call anyone out, but like, I saw advice in the chat saying that, like, the pros of going to art school, making contacts is easier, you learn a lot, it's fun, you make more money in the long term on average. Not true. Not true at all. Let me go point by point on those as a person who's gone to a couple art schools. Making contacts is not easier because most people that are working in the industry today never went to art school. The contacts you make in art school are professors that are teaching at the school because they can't get a job doing anything else 99% of the time. That's not true at really good schools where they have rules that the teachers have to be working in the field for X amount of hours and stuff. But there's hundreds of art schools in the country. By definition, that means there's thousands of staff members. There are not thousands of working artists in the field you want to work in the country, period. So clearly the staff isn't working in the field. Simple math dictates that. If thousands of artists were working in that field, every single person I know would be teaching at a college by necessity, because there's only a couple hundred people working in the industry. That's just the facts of it. So no, you don't make contacts. Occasionally, if there's a really famous graduate of that school, like if you go to SVA, James Jean might be at an SVA thing because he went there, or Sam Weber, you might meet them at a gallery or something. Yeah, that happens. That's a fluke. It's not worth the $100,000 price tag to bank on meeting someone famous at a gallery. Not worth it.
It's not worth the money, more or less. Like, I'll agree with anybody who says the experience is worth it. Like going there, having the college thing, meeting all the people, and the camaraderie, and the party, and then the way that you are together in that similar situation in a group. Like
Mhm.
that would be great if it weren't for the price tag.
Right.
Like the price makes it too crazy. But he says I was talking about college. Well, he's
Yeah, you're talking to
Pinchivik is. I mean, this is like an art thing.
Yeah, we're an art thing, and Pinchivik said specifically that he wants to study art on his own as opposed to going to art school. So art school is college. We're talking about art colleges. So that's the context of this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the deal is that, you know, for every artist that you meet who went to school, it's like, I mean, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, or I'm not trying to put anybody down here, but like,
No,
all the artists that I meet who are like, I went to school and now I'm needing to like suddenly learn what this business is all about. And I get that email so often, and I'm just like, well, you paid all this money and now you have to like relearn how to approach this whole thing, because the level, if being the best in high school, being the best in any kind of classroom where you're number one, it's like, that's not versus the world. And the thing with all that is that like you have to put yourself up against that world. Like you can't think in context of your school or your classroom or whatever, because you just won't progress the same way.
It's a bubble. It's so easy to climb the anthill of being the best person in your class of 15 or 20 people. And here's the thing, like, just numbers to throw at you, these are real numbers of the school I went to. The school I went to, MassArt Dartmouth. I mean, UMass Dartmouth. I almost went to MassArt.
Let me say this just to put it in context. Dan goes and he speaks at schools and stuff like all the time.
I lecture
to
probably
all of like graduates and stuff like that.
Yeah, 4 times a year I give a lecture up in Boston at one of 3 different art schools to outgoing seniors and incoming freshmen, to tell them what to expect and what to avoid in art school if they're freshmen, and to tell them, hey, guess what? The bubble's about to burst and you're about to hit the real world. Here's how you prepare for that, because everything you learned in art school is about to get thrown under the bus for the outgoing seniors.
As in Dan meets a bunch of people and they tell him their experience in school.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm getting at is that when I went to school, the school I went to had a really good reputation. It was supposed to be a really good art school with really good numbers and stuff coming out of it. I was in a class of about 20. The class before me was about 30. The class before that one was about 25. So that's about 75 students, roughly, in 3 years of graduates from the illustration program. Only one of them is making a living doing art, and it's me. Out of 75 people that I knew and met personally that went to this school, some of which were much better at doing art when we were in college than I was. The only reason I'm making a living and they're not is because I was going online and talking to people that were actually working in the field instead of only doing the assignments at the school and listening to the professors. That was the difference. But that's the thing. If you want to look at the scary numbers of it, like, it's a fact, less than 0.5% of students that come out of art school end up getting a job in the arts. Most of them end up going into something else or becoming curators or working at a museum, something tangentially related to art. It's like
teaching.
Most of them end up leaving art school, not doing anything for 3 years, and then becoming teachers at that same art school. It's like, it's not a good idea. Like, unless you're going to one of the best and learning from the best, I can guarantee if you have the drive to self-teach, you're going to do a lot better if you just self-teach. But as far as your mom goes and convincing your parents that that's the truth, I get it. It's really hard. I had to do the same thing. It was really difficult. The best thing I could offer is feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. I'm happy to talk to your mom. Like, I've done that before. We did that back on the Daggers thing. I talked to 2 people's parents to try and help them not have to get into that same scenario I went into. I'm happy to do it for you as well. Because the thing is that, you know, like the other person was mentioning in the chat here, a lot of people just assume, oh, college, that's the next step. You go to grade school, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, you get a job, you get married. It's like the roadmap of things you're supposed to do. They assume college is the next step, and they assume like other professions like law or being a doctor or being a businessman, that you would need that degree to do that, which is true in those other professions because they're not merit-based professions. They're learning-based professions where you have to know the laws to be a lawyer. You have to study them, and the only way to study them is to really hit the books with someone who understands them. You know, to do a doctor, you have to go to school to prove that you've done the necessary prerequisites to cut open a body and help somebody, you know? That's legitimate. In merit-based stuff where you're creating things or like, you know, I don't care if a plumber went to college, if he's super good at plumbing, you know, it's like, I don't...
Well, you're creating worth.
Exactly, and it's a totally different beast, and like, yes, maybe back in the 1900s, the idea of going to some salon or a college and learning from the best of the best, or like the Brandywine School, like, yeah, that made sense back then, but now that it's an industry, and there's 1,000 different ways to do it because of the nature of the internet, there's no way to teach that. And it really says something about art schools when the senior members of the staff, who are by definition the oldest, all had their careers before the internet existed.
Yeah, the worst thing the worst thing to me is that they don't teach in terms of, I mean, I think that time is sped up. Like things have moved forward too fast. And wait, Dusty Crosley? Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Just subscribe.
Woo! Hey, Dusty, what's up?
Dusty, dust that off. Get some cream on it. Thank you so much for the support.
Thank you.
Love you. But the worst thing is that they don't teach modern. Well, they don't teach business in art.
They don't teach business. They don't teach taxes. They don't teach how to promote. Like, here's the thing. I went to what was supposed to be a really good art school. I learned under a guy that was considered a master, in quotations. Not going to say his name because I'm about to throw him under the bus. If you research the school I went to that I mentioned earlier, you'll figure out who it is really fast. This guy, flat out, told me, as a student, the following. I'm not interpreting these. These are quotes from his mouth. The head of the illustration department, who's considered the best of the best. Number 1, you can't make money in entertainment art. That means video games, comics, movies. You can't make a living in that. It's a bubble. It's going to burst. Most of those jobs get done overseas, so don't even pursue that. Number 2, you get the most renown from doing editorial art. A political cartoon can last a lifetime. You'll see it in history books. Entertainment art is disposable. People forget about the movie they saw 3 years later. After that, getting jobs on the internet is outdated. From what I've seen, the best way to get a job in the industry is to cold call art directors and send them envelopes with bright, creative colors that they're going to remember. I've had the most success with neon pink and bright red. The fuck? It's not the 70s. Like, if your knowledge of how to make a living in this industry got cut off in the 1980s when you became a tenured professor and you've been living in that universe for the past 25 fucking years, stop teaching. Everything changed with the internet. It doesn't work that way anymore. You don't mail your shit in. Like, it just doesn't happen. And there's so many art schools I've been to and students I've talked to online where they have other professors just like that who were really famous in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and then have been coasting on that for the rest of their lives. You know, like, that's great for them. I'm glad they had success, but they don't understand. The internet age of being a self-sustaining freelance artist is a completely different beast than it was when you were mailing things in the mail and calling people with a rotary phone. It's not the same, so you shouldn't be teaching it. Because you're setting your students up for fucking failure.
Yeah, like, it's so hard to do all the stuff online, like the self-promotion, all that kind of thing. And the people who are really good at it, they don't teach it because they're really good at it. So why would they need to teach?
Yeah.
It's like it's too hard. Like the...
No, okay, I'm just gonna keep... I'm too mad now. You, like, this is my hot take. You hit me in the spot where I'm just gonna keep going because I'm like a piñata of hate now. It's just gonna keep... Ooh, God. He tore... I did this huge pencil piece, 15 by 20, super detailed book plate assignment that I was going to do this beautiful never-ending story thing, and I'm going to do all these details and all this stuff on it. And I turned it in, and it was really... Because, like, yeah, I thought this was something I'd want to do. I want to make a portfolio of stuff that looks like this. And he told me to stop what I was doing because I was wasting my energy interpreting stuff other people had created. You're not making anything meaningful. The never-ending story's already been illustrated. Don't do that. Create something new. And I said, like what? And he said, well, look at this. And he opened up a Photoshop document. I'm not kidding. You can go find this online. I think it was in Scientific American, maybe. I can't really remember which magazine. He took a photo of the Taj Mahal. A photo. He didn't draw it. He didn't paint it. He took a stock photo of the Taj Mahal. And on the 4 towers around the Taj Mahal, he photoshopped in smoke clouds billowing out of them. And then he put text on it, and it said, what was it? Industrialization in the Eastern world, ? And he said, now this is a statement. People, look at the metaphor, because the towers look like smokestacks. Fuck off. To deny the entire world of entertainment art, say that you can't make money in comics, games, movies, any of that, and then show me the simplest fucking visual metaphor in the history of Photoshop and pretend like you've earned your supper for the rest of your fucking life because of how clever you are, get out of the fucking business and stop teaching students. Because you're setting them up to look like smug assholes who will never get a job. It's my hot take.
It's true. It is true. But, I mean, just to be real with you, like, for every single person, like, I hope there are people in here who are at that point where they may go to school, they may not. Because the deal is like, I've been working for close to 10 years now, and I've been freelance the whole time. I'm self-taught, and I've been, in the beginning, I just studied a lot on my own, doing really simple stuff, lots of fundamentals, but I was self-motivated. And the deal is that, like, after getting into doing art and meeting people, all the people I met, it's like, they may have gone to school, some of them, but like, I have to say, at least like 70-80% of the people I know who've made it and are doing something are self-taught. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to say that therefore schools are bad. I mean to say that if you're willing to do it and you have that in you where you can teach yourself these things and also save yourself that debt, then do that. If you have the ability and you have the drive and you're dedicated to it, then do that.
Yeah.
Because nobody can teach that. And that's what it takes to become successful at anything.
Well,
it's your own willpower.
On a fundamental level, I mean, if you just look at it in terms of just us being animals, alphas and betas, art school teaches you, like, think of the mentality of art school and think, like, of course it doesn't work. For 4 years, you're conditioned, or more, 7 if you get a master's, you're conditioned in terms of, here's what I'm telling you to do, you know what I want to see, go do it. You're never once given an opportunity, aside from for 6 months, the last year you're in college when you do your thesis, you're never given the opportunity to just figure things out for yourself and be passionate and find out what drives you, because you're constantly being told to do things that other people want you to do. Like, that professor that I was just talking about was a really big into pen and ink, so he was biased towards people that used pen and ink because he liked it more. As a result, everybody did their assignments for him in pen and ink. And then you come out of art school and you've got, here's my watercolor pieces, here's my pen and ink pieces, here's my pencil pieces, here's my collage pieces, because you've done all this shit that you know is going to get you a better grade for 4 years, and you've never figured out what your voice is, what your medium is, what you're good at doing, what you enjoy. Because you're constantly chasing a grade from a biased person who doesn't know what you want to do. They just know what they want to see. And, like, of course that's flawed. Fundamentally, like, you think about it for 30 seconds.
I mean, the thing that I would say that is a problem is that at the core of illustration, there are fundamentals.
Yeah.
And when fundamentals aren't encouraged 100% and more or less ideas are, the only thing, like, there is a balance there where having originality, having new ideas, discovering what that means to you,
yeah,
and who you are in and of yourself. Like, when you find out that, oh, I was original this whole time because my whole life led up to this, so everything I am is unique, and when I apply that to my artwork, it becomes unique. But to only do that, to only chase new original ideas or things that might make other people think you're clever or something like that, and to
Right.
never chase the fundamentals, then you're having an issue with, you know, your actual skill set and having it be applicable to the real world once you're out there working.
Right.
You know, you need to have a little bit of both experiences. And I think that a lot of the older artists, and maybe it'll go away because of what's been happening and because of like how artists have, you know, been working online, and they will inevitably be teachers at some point. But a lot of the artists that are teaching now come from a place of, you know, free thinking, like a lot of, you know, just do whatever stuff. Like art is about expression and that's it. Where, you know, if you want to be somebody like Norman Rockwell, some of the painting techniques and things like that, they might lend themselves to what you inevitably want to be, but they're not going to, I mean, if the school's not teaching you like anatomy, if the school's not teaching you like very basic structural things,
Yeah.
then it's going to be very hard for you to apply those later on. Like, it's so hard to find a school that will cater to all of those things and develop you as a strong artist.
Here's the thing, like, in the chat, someone said, well, don't most clients tell you what to draw? Yeah, that's after you've learned how to draw. Following direction and being told what to do by a client, once you know how to do what you're doing and you understand the basics of it, is definitely what happens. But the point of art school isn't, it's supposed to be to make you better at doing the art, to teach you how to do the art and give you the skills necessary to execute on prompts and stuff. And if you just jump into it in terms of do exactly what I'm telling you to do and don't focus on the actual skills or the learning, it sets people up to not retain anything, to not be able to learn. Like, let me give you an example. Again, I went to a school that had a very good reputation and still does. Like here in New England, it's up there when people recommend places to go. And here's a list of things I never learned, ever. There was no class on these. We never learned them in any of the classes. We were just told to figure them out. Trial and error. Here's a list. We never learned anatomy. We took figure drawing, but we never learned anatomy in terms of proportion, correct way to draw it, classical anatomy. Nothing. No class ever in 4 years of school on anatomy. Never learned color theory. Ever. There was never a class on color. Light. We never learned lighting. Ever. We were told to do still lives and observe things, but the way critiques worked in the art school was, I like your painting because it feels this way. I like your painting because it feels that way. They're grading illustration in a very fine art way, which means that you're not learning any sort of hard fundamentals that you can actually look at and get a solid grasp on and grade it in a real observable way. That's wrong because of this. They're grading it in terms of that's wrong because I feel it's wrong. It's not resonating with me. No hardcore like, no, it's supposed to be this many heads high and you have it this, like, no actual core skills. Didn't learn light, didn't learn color, didn't learn anatomy, didn't learn business. Didn't learn marketing, didn't learn promotion, didn't learn taxes, like in a 4-year illustration program. Didn't learn composition. In my senior year, when I figured out from the Phil Straub thing what composition was on that old CG Society post, I went to my professor and said, can I do like a micro thesis inside my senior thesis where every piece is going to be based on a different core composition? Because I'm in my final 6 months of school. I've been here for 3.5 years, and I've never learned composition. No wonder my pieces look so lopsided and weird. I'm not building them on a frame. I didn't know this was a thing. And he told me composition is an outdated thing. Most people don't really use that anymore. He said, in a classical sense, if it was the 1800s, I'd teach composition. He said, but really, people haven't been using it since 1950. Quote. Actually said that to me. So yeah, there's an example of where art school falls woefully short. I didn't learn any of that. Color, light, anatomy, composition, business, taxes, none of it. On an education that had a, $80,000 price tag? It's just, it's crazy. I could talk about it forever, but we got to get off of here. I could talk about this forever. So please, Pinchivik, reach out to me on Facebook. Happy to talk to you about it. I totally understand where you're coming from, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get, you dummy. Going to school, I told you.
Hey man, at the time, neither of us were doing anything, and I took one path, You took another path, and yours was the correct one.
That's right.
I can say that right. I used to call Dave every day after school and just yell at him on the phone about the stuff my professor had said that day, and him and Devin Platts would just laugh at me.
Yeah.
They would just laugh and like, no way he said that. Yeah, he did. Like,
Yeah, it's like where my struggle every day was like trying to get my lighting right, trying to get my anatomy down.
yeah,
And I'm just sitting there like I'm having a really hard time with this.
right.
And I've been doing it for a while now. It's like
Meanwhile, I'm sitting in a lecture where he goes, "Today we're going to study one of my favorite pieces of visual juxtaposition, where you make a circus poster for the political candidate you disagree with. Because politics really is a circus when you think about it." Like, get the... Ooh! Still mad. Like,
well, Dan did this thing that was pretty funny. Where towards the end of the school, uh, I mean, closer to your graduation, I guess, is when you started doing all like the pieces that made fun of his
oh,
messages.
yeah, right. I started doing the trolling pieces.
Yeah.
Right. We had to do a life-size self-portrait. We had to do a life-size self-portrait of who we saw ourselves as. How did we envision who we were? And there was no wrong way to do this assignment. Just, it's a life-size self-portrait. If you're 6 feet tall, the portrait's 6 feet, and it's, who do you think you are? And people did these really fine art whatever things, and some girl had of course, one girl had a blank piece of paper because, I have insecurity issues, and I think I'm nothing. And it's like, you just didn't do the assignment, you bitch. You just didn't do it. Like, you're not smart. Like, get out of here. But anyway, mine was a hyper-realistic drawing of me naked wearing a leather thong with a sword between my legs like Conan. And, yeah, that was just like, I just started doing dumb things like that to not be meaningful and to just troll it. And like, that's when art school kind of became fun. But it was still horrible. It was still just like, it was fun in the sense of the second half of The Shawshank Redemption was fun, where he's playing opera on the loudspeaker, but then he gets put in the hole for 6 months. Like, it was that kind of fun. But anyway.
Yeah. A good question, Pinchivik.
Let's get out of here. I'm so sorry. That was like a 45-minute tangent. You get me talking about art school, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like that was my war. Like, I'm at the bar every night talking about it with other guys. Like, I can't talk about that. I just go off the rails.
Yeah, money haul, and a bad time.
Whew.
Well, thank you to everybody who subscribed today. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for all the creamy support. We really appreciate it. You're beautiful. You do it to us. You make us happy.
You creamed me.
You creamed us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
And now, after escaping the Magitech facility with our new Esper companions, the returners have learned of Terra's true parentage, Meduan and Madonna, half Esper, half human, maybe the only hope left for a fading world. United once again on Setzer's airship, the Blackjack, the team now sets off for an unknown horizon. Does the Esper world still exist, or was it merely a fairy tale? We will find out soon enough.
I don't have any thoughts on that.
And YouTube.
Oh, hey, YouTube. How you guys doing?
We just, got real mad talking about art school and just went off the rails a little bit.
Yeah.
It happened. I mean, it happens.
It does happen.
Some things, you start talking about them, you just get that fury inside.
It just makes you feel like you're whole. Like the hate brings you together.
It's true.
It's a warmth. It's an angry warmth.
It is.
And sometimes I feel that too. And what I do is I'll masturbate. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's
is
where
that the thing you put the thing in your hand and you move it, right?
I mean, the bigger part of it for me is the sweat on my butt.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because sometimes, even if it's cold in here, my butt's hot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like a milk It's almost like a milk residue will come off of my ass around that area.
That's
And
interesting. I don't think I've experienced that.
yeah, so sometimes I'll just lay a towel down and just sit on that and let the milk soak into the towel,
Wow.
and then spray some milk on my stomach and then take a shower.
That's not my experience with it at all. That's really fascinating.
Um, but when you take a shower and you milk it all off, that's it's like you didn't even do it. It's just my technique for it because you don't smell it anymore. You don't smell any of that sweat or moistness.
You sound like in movies when killers put on their normal face before they go outside. It's like they're not even them anymore.
Is that what I sound like?
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you did a thing and then you erased that thing in your own conscience and then you go on living your life like it never happened.
Exactly that. That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like I'm erasing the incident. I don't have a problem. What are you talking about? Smell me. It's fine. I took a shower. I'm clean of all of my shame. Washed it off and went down the drain. So thanks everybody for hanging out, listening to this. Y'all beautiful. Y'all do it to it. You making me happy. You know, peep this shit. We'll be back on here not too long. We'll be doing our Steve Lichman draw or die judgment. Not really a judgment. We're just going to look at everybody's pieces and we're going to go, hey, that one's awesome. You did good. We have our favorites. We have our second favorites. We have, I don't know. We got a lot to say about them. So we'll be on soon. Love to you. Team Cream.
Goodbye.
Bye.